Good morning, guys. In the last session, we discussed about how to work with producers, how to work with consumes. Producers represents in which format method can provide the response to clients. Consumes represents in which formats method will take the data from the client. Accept header represents in which format client expecting the response from the REST API. Content type header represents in which format client is sending the request data to REST API. Can we develop a single method with both consumes and produces? Yes, we can do that. That is what the requirement we have taken in the last session. So I have given a assignment, develop a REST API to book the train ticket. Some people tried that. So let me develop this. As I mentioned, if you are going to develop any REST API, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to analyze the requirement. What is the requirement? Book a train ticket. So here you need to understand that in order to book the train ticket, we need some input data like passenger data, journey data we need from the client. After booking the train ticket, we need to send the ticket data to the passenger. Understand? So this REST API should take some input data and this REST API should give some output data. Fine. So let me create that file, new Spring Starter project. I'm creating it as 35 REST train ticket app, or I can say IRCTC app, IRCTC app. Good. Next, Lombok Web DevTools. Finish. So I'm creating a project. I'm creating a project with IRCTC. IRCTC application. Yeah, go to pom.xml. So here in this pom.xml, we have boot starter web dependency and the DevTools dependency and Lombok dependency and starter test dependency is available. Okay, next we have a start class by default. We have a start class by default. No need to make any changes to the start class. First, let us create request class. Okay, so in order to create this REST API, we need some input. We need to send some output. So input I'm taking as passenger info. So what data we need from the client to book the ticket? So you can take private string name, private long phone number, then private string journey date, private string from address, private string to address, private string, private integer train number, something like this. Private integer train number. And some other details also, Aadhaar card and all, we are going to take from the client. So from date to date, from address to address, journey date, train number, passenger name, passenger mobile number, we are going to take. So this is my input data. So in the real time also, when you are developing any microservice, first you need to understand the requirement. First you need to understand the requirement. So as part of this API, what we are doing, what is the business logic? Business logic is booking a ticket. To book the ticket, we need passenger data. After booking the ticket, we need to send the ticket data. So we need to have a request binding class and we need to have a response binding class. Passenger info is my request binding. Then take another class, that is ticket info. Take another class, ticket info. Ticket info is my response binding class, right? Private integer ticket ID, private string, some PNR of that, then private string ticket status, something like this. Ticket ID, PNR, ticket status, the other details, whatever you want to send, you can mention as a variable. Okay. This one I'm taking as response binding. This one I'm taking as response binding. Public class ticket info, private integer ticket ID, private string PNR, private string ticket status. All right. So here request binding available, response binding is available. This is the most important thing when we are developing REST API. Then finally, let us create our REST controller. Let us create our REST controller. What is our REST controller? Ticket REST controller. Ticket REST controller. It is used to book the train tickets, right? So now I'm taking this as a ticket REST controller. I'm taking this class as a REST controller. So to represent this class as a REST controller, I'm using @REST controller annotation. Okay. Next, inside this, let us write the methods. Public response entity. Public response entity. What is the response we are sending? Ticket info. Okay. So to book the ticket, what we are taking? We are taking passenger info. To book the ticket, we are taking passenger info. That is our request object. Passenger info is the request object that we are getting. So how we will get the request data? Passenger data means a huge amount of data will be available. Sensitive data will be available. So we need to get that data from request body. Client application will send the passenger data in the request body to the resource application. So let's make it as a post mapping. Post mapping value is equal to /ticket. /ticket. Produces is equal to I'm going to specify application /JSON. Consumes is equal to application /JSON. Produces is equal to application /JSON. Consumes is equal to application /JSON. So produces represents in which format it will provide the response to the client. Consumes represents in which format it will take the input from the client. Consumes and produces, right? So this method is binded to post request. This method having URL pattern /ticket, produces application /JSON, consumes application /JSON. In which format this method can provide the response. Ticket data can go in the JSON format. Consumes, in which format this method will take the input. This method will take the passenger data from the request body in the form of JSON. Now here, just for your understanding, are we really getting the data or not? I'm printing on the console here some logic to book ticket. Here some logic to book the ticket. Once the logic is executed, we need to send the ticket object as a response. Ticket info, T info is equal to new ticket info. New ticket info, T info dot set ticket ID, some 1, 2, 3, 4. T info dot set PNR, some value. Some value I'm going to set as the ticket PNR. Okay. Next one, T info dot ticket status. It is confirmed. Confirmed. Like this, I have created one ticket. Like this, I have created one ticket object. Good. Now here we need to return this ticket object as a response entity. Return new response entity of T info, comma HTTP status dot created. That means a new ticket got booked. So new resource is getting created. As the new resource is getting created, I am returning the status code as 201. New ticket got created, so status code I am returning as 201. 201. Samjha? Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand? Are you guys able to understand this? Right now. So let us try to run this application. Run as boot app. Run as boot app. This application we need to test, right? For testing purpose, I'm going for Postman. Right. This application is running in the embedded server. The server port number is 8080. Tomcat started on the port number 8080. Context path is empty. It started. Right. Now we need to send the request to the server. Post request / ticket. Remove this body data, raw data, JSON data. I need to send to the server. Passenger data I need to send in the JSON. 6 keys are available. 6 keys are available, guys. 6 keys I need to send. 6 keys I need to send. Passenger details we should send in the JSON format. Name. Next one, phone number. Next, journey date. Next, from address. Next, to address. Then train number. Right? So these are all the data that is expecting by our REST API as input in the JSON format. Right? Name, phone number, journey date, from address, train number, something like this. Okay, so this is the passenger data that I'm representing in the JSON format, right? Currently there is no response. Hit the send button to get the response. Name, phone number, phone number is a long value, so no need to keep in the double quotes. Name, phone number, journey date, from address, to address, from address, to address, then train number. Click on send. When you click on send, are you able to get the ticket response? Ticket created, status code is 201, ticket ID is 1234, ticket PNR is this, ticket status is this. Are we able to get this? Are we able to get this? Train number is integer, so directly I'm sending. Only string type variables data I'm keeping in the double quotes. Remaining variables data I'm sending in the normal. When I click on send, I'm getting the response. Are we clear how to develop a REST API? Passenger data I am taking as a input. Passenger data I'm taking as a input, right? Ticket data I'm taking as a output. It is my output class. Passenger data is input, ticket data is my output. This is my ticket rest controller, which is used to book the train ticket. And this JSON is my request JSON. I'm sending the request to this REST API using Postman in the JSON format. So once we do that, we are getting ticket data as response. This ticket data we are getting as response, request JSON and response JSON. Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Yes, na? Very good. Very good. Fine. Next one. So with this, we understood how to develop a REST API and how to use consumes, how to use produces, when to use them in, when to use both in the single method also we understood now. Next, HTTP put request, guys. HTTP put request. So can you guys tell me when we should go for HTTP put request? When we should go for HTTP put request? Any idea? Put request is used to update a record or resource at server. Put request is used to update a record or resource at server. Update an existing record or resource. So if you have already data at the server, to update that record, we will use put request. Put request can take data in URL and in request body. Put request will have the request body. So to bind our method to put request, we will use @put mapping. To bind our method to put request, we will use put mapping. Got it? Next one. Similarly, we have HTTP delete request. When we should go for HTTP delete request, guys? When we should go for HTTP delete request? Can you tell me? When we should go for HTTP delete request? Delete request is used to delete a record or resource at the server. Delete request is used to delete an existing record or resource at a server. Delete request is used to delete an existing record or the resource at the server. Got my point? Fine. Now, delete request can take the data in the URL and in the body. Delete request can take data in the URL and in request body. To bind our method to delete request, we will use @delete mapping. @delete mapping. Clear with my point? Delete request is used to delete an existing record or resource at the server. Delete request can take the data in the URL and in the request body. To bind our method to delete request, we will use delete mapping. Now, for example, in the same method, I can write logic. Public. Let me stop my server. Public response entity of string update ticket, update ticket. So here we can take passenger data in the parameter request body. Passenger data we can take in the body. So here we can specify that logic to update the ticket, logic to update ticket. Fine. So here we will write the return logic, return new response entity, return new response entity of, return new response entity of ticket updated, ticket updated. It is http status dot okay. We have updated our ticket. So this method we will bind to put mapping. This method we will bind to put mapping. So put mapping of slash ticket, right? Suppose if you want to delete a ticket, if you want to delete a ticket, you can write a method public response entity, public response entity of string delete ticket. So in order to delete the ticket, we need the ticket ID. That's it. In order to delete the ticket, we need the ticket ID. We don't need any data except ticket ID. Just if I have the ID, then I can delete my ticket. So I'm writing a method called delete ticket. For that, I'm taking a method ticket ID. So I will take this as a path variable. Ticket ID, I'm going to take as a path variable because specific record I need to delete. Specific record data I need to delete. So path variable is sufficient for me. Now here I'm going to write logic to delete the ticket. I'm going to write the logic to delete the ticket. Fine. Once it is done, return new response entity of ticket deleted. Ticket deleted. Then I will give http status dot okay. That ticket got deleted. Public response entity of string delete ticket integer ticket ID, logic to delete the ticket, return new response entity of ticket deleted, http status dot okay, http status dot okay. So let us go here and mention that delete mapping, delete mapping ticket slash ticket ID ticket ID. So this is my path variable. This is my path variable. Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Ticket rest controller, right? It is post mapping method. It is put mapping method. It is delete mapping method. Put mapping method slash ticket. It is taking passenger data in the request body. It is used to update the ticket. You can write the logic to update the ticket. Delete mapping method. We need ticket ID. So ticket ID I'm taking as a path variable. When to go for request body, when to go for path variable, guys? When we will go for request body and when we will go for path variable? When we will go for request body and when we will go for path variable? Come on. When we will go for request body and when we will go for path variable? When we will go for request body and when we will go for path variable? when we will go for request body, and when we will go for path variable. If you want to deal with a huge amount of data, then we will go for request body. If you want to deal with any kind of IDs and all, then you can go for path variable. Okay, good. So there is a method called put mapping method. There is a method called delete mapping method. Let's try that. Run our application, run as boot app. Run our application, run as boot app. Application is failed. Okay, there is a error. Path variable, it is not closed properly. Okay, right. Right click, run as boot app. Clear that console. Go here. For the same passenger data, I can send a put request. Click on send. You see, ticket updated. I got 200 as a response. If I send post request, I'm getting the status as 201 created. Ticket data I'm getting. URL pattern is same. Body data is same. Just method type is different. So when I send post request, I'm getting the ticket data saying that 201 ticket created. When I send put request for the same, when I send the put request for the same, I'm saying I'm getting ticket updated 200. Okay. Suppose if I want to go for a delete, I will go for a delete /ticket body data. Nothing will be available. Body data is not there. I'm not sending any body. I'm just sending ticket ID, something like that in the path variable. Send, I got the message, ticket deleted. So like this, when we are developing the REST APIs, we will use put request methods, delete request methods, as well as get and post. Mostly we will use get and post. Sometimes depends on the requirement, we will go for put and delete requests also. Get is used to get the data from the server. Put is used to send the data. Sorry, get is used to get the data from the server. Post is used to send the data to the server. Put is used to update the data at the server. Delete is used to delete the data from the server. Like this, there are HTTP protocol methods available. Using these HTTP protocol methods, we are developing our REST APIs. Using HTTP protocol methods, we are developing REST APIs. ठीक है ना? Put request, delete. For delete request, you can take that data in the URL, or you can take the data in the body also. Ticket ID. Ticket ID is not a sensitive data. Ticket ID is not a secret data. That's why I'm taking the ticket ID as a path variable directly. Path variable we need to represent in the URL pattern. So this method is responsible to delete a record. Okay, next one, put mapping. So put mapping, I'm using the method, this method update ticket method to update a record. So to update a record at the server, we are writing a logic and binding that method to put mapping. Which data we need to update? Passenger data we need to update, right? Journey date, maybe mobile number, maybe journey date we need to update. So for that, I'm taking the passenger data in the request body, because passenger data will be huge and there may be some sensitive data. Passenger data will be huge and there may be some sensitive data. So that is the reason we are taking like that. Next one. Here, delete mapping is available. Delete mapping is used to delete the record. Post mapping is available. It is used to book the ticket. passenger data I'm taking in the request body. Are you guys clear? Now, so post, put, delete, like this we are going to write. Get request methods also we are going to write. Get request method. For example, if you want to get the ticket, now you can write a method like this. You can write get mapping. You can write a method. That method you can bind to get mapping. So this one I will make it as get ticket. Ticket ID you need to send in the request. Based on the ticket ID, we are going to send you the ticket data. Based on the ticket ID, we are going to send you the ticket data. Got it? Like this, we are going to send you the ticket data. We are going to get the ticket and we are going to send the ticket. For the ticket, we are going to give status as OK. Got it? All right, guys. So this is a get request method. In this method, I'm taking ticket ID. So here we will write the logic to get the ticket from the DB. Logic to get ticket data. So whatever the ticket ID we are getting, the same ticket ID I will set as a ticket ID. I will set the PNR and I'm setting the status. I'm returning OK. When I'm returning the ticket data from this get mapping, status code I'm giving as OK. When we go for post request, I'm giving status code as created. OK means success, create means record is inserted, like that. Okay. So this is the REST API, which is having get request, which is having post request, which is having put request, which is having delete request. Understood? Understood? Yeah. Someone is asking, what is the difference between response body and response entity? Response entity is used to create the response data with body and status code. You see, response entity is one class which is used to construct the response using body and status code. Response body and response status code we are using to construct one object and we are sending that. Response body represents what is the payload we are sending to client. Response body represents what is the payload we are sending to the client. Request body represents what is the payload we are taking from the client. Request body annotation is used to take the request payload. Response body is used to send the response payload. Response entity is used to construct the response with the payload and status code. Payload and status code. If you want to update a particular record, you can take that request ticket ID. You can take the ticket ID and you can update that particular ticket. If when you go for put mapping, sir, I want particular ticket to update, na, you can take the ticket ID as a path parameter. You can take the ticket ID in the path parameter. You can take the ticket ID in the path parameter. Are you clear with this? Very good. Fine. So guys, with this we understood how to develop one REST API. What is REST controller? What is REST controller? Right? REST controller methods. REST controller methods. We discussed about get mapping. We discussed about put mapping. We discussed about post mapping. And we discussed about delete mapping. We discussed about query params, path params, @request param annotation, @path variable annotation, and we discussed about request body, response body, request body and response body, and how to take the data from the request body using that annotation, produces, consumes, accept header, content type header. What is the REST controller? The Java class which is having @REST controller annotation is called as a REST controller. That REST controller is going to act as a distributed component. REST controller is acting as a distributed component. Okay guys, REST controller is acting as a distributed component. Other applications can access our REST controller. Other applications can access our REST controller. Inside the REST controller, we can write multiple methods. Inside the REST controller, we can write multiple methods. Those methods should have unique URL pattern. Now you see, method URL pattern should be unique. So if you see my ticket REST controller, /ticket, 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 all are having /ticket only. But why we are not getting the problem? Because it is a get request, it is post request, it is put request, and it is delete request. There should be difference in your URL pattern or your HTTP method. Every method should be able to identify uniquely with the URL pattern. Get mapping is used to bind our REST API method to HTTP get request. Get request is idempotent. Get request will not have the body. You can send a get request to the API to get the data, right? API will send the data in the response body payload. You can send the data to get request in the URL using request param and path variable, query params and path variables. Post mapping, we are binding our method to post mapping when that is responsible to create a record. Post mapping means post request. Post request is non-idempotent. When you send the same post request more than one time, every time new record will be created. Post request can take the data from the URL like path param and query parameter. At the same time, post mapping can take the data from the request body. To read the data from the request body, we will use request body annotation. Put mapping will have the request body. It is used to update a record. Delete mapping is used to delete the record. Delete method also can take the data from the URL and can take the data from the request body. Query parameters are used to send the data to the server in the URL as a key value. Path parameters are used to send the data directly as a value. Request body, response body. Request body represents request payload, which is sending by the client. Response body represents response payload, which is sending by the server. Request param, path variable, request body. To read the query parameter, request param annotation. To read the path variable, @path variable annotation. To read the request body data, request body annotation. Produces represents in which formats our REST API can support for output. Consumes represents in which format our REST API can take the input. Accept represents in which format client expecting the response. Content type represents in which format client giving the input. Then message converters. Are we really converting the data to XML data to JSON, or message converters are doing that conversions internally? When we develop this REST API, I'm dealing with the JSON data. Am I writing the logic to convert the object to JSON, JSON to object? That is taken care by message converters. Are we doing that conversions? Are we doing those conversions? Our message converters are doing those conversions? When you are representing with JSON data, internally it is using Jackson API and it is converting the data into Java object to JSON, JSON to Java. When we are dealing with XML data, message converters are using JAXB API and converting the Java object to XML and the XML to Java object. XML to Java object. Are you clear with my point? Are you clear with my point? Are you guys clear with my point? Are you confident about all these things now? We are able to develop a REST API. As of now, we have not implemented a database connectivity in the REST API. We will do that. We will implement a database connectivity in the REST API so that you feel that you are developing a real REST API. We will implement database connectivity also so that you can understand that how the real world REST APIs will be developed in the company. How the real world REST APIs will be developed in the company. Okay. And we used @response. We are using response entity. What is the purpose of response entity? Why we are using response entity concept, guys? Why we are using response entity concept? What is the purpose of response entity? Come on. What is the purpose of response entity? Can you please explain? Could you please tell me in the chat box? What is the purpose of response entity? It is used to create the response to send to the client with a body and status code. With the body and status code, we are going to create the response to clients. See here, response entity. I'm using ticket data as a payload and I'm using status code. So this response data will go to the client with this status code. So to construct the response object, we are using response entity. It is like a container. Response entity is a container which is used to combine response body and response status code. Perfect. Perfect. Are you guys confident in this REST API development? Are you guys confident in the REST API development? Right. Guys, here, interviewers will ask you one tricky question here. Interviewer will ask you one tricky question. Even I will also ask this question when I am taking the interview in my company. Put request is available to update. Okay. Post request is available to create. Can I write the logic to delete a record using post method? Here, instead of creating the ticket, can I write the logic here to delete the ticket? In this method, which is binded to post request, is it valid? Can I do that? Can I do that? I am writing a method as a post request method. In this method, I will write the logic to delete the record. Assume that the ticket records are already available in the table. The records are already available in the database table. So instead of writing a put method, I am writing post method to delete the record. Yes, we can do it. we can do it. Here, inside the put method, instead of writing the logic to update the record, can I write the logic to insert the record in the put method? I'm writing a method which is binded to put request. In this, actually, universal meaning of put is for updating. Can I write the logic to insert the record in the put method? Will it work? Will it work? Now here get request is there. In this get request method, can I write the logic to delete the record? Can I write the logic to delete the record? You can do it, guys, but not recommended. When you send a get request, your logic can be getting the data from the database, send it to the client. Instead of that, you can write the logic to delete the record also. Instead of that, you can write the logic to update the whatever you want, you can do it, no problem. But that is not recommended. That is not the meaning of HTTP methods. What is the universal meaning of get request? Get request means getting the data. What is the universal meaning of a post request? Post means creating the data. What is the universal meaning of a put request, which is used to update the data? What is the universal meaning of delete request, which is used to delete the data? In the delete request, you can write the logic to get the data. You can write the logic to update the data. You can write the logic to insert the data. You can do whatever you want. Instead of a post, you can make it as a put. Instead of a put, you can make it as a post. Instead of a post, you can make it as a delete. You can do it, but is it recommended? Is it recommended? That is the question they are going to ask in the interview to confuse. To confuse. Can we write the logic? Can we write the logic to update the data in post request method? Can we write the logic to update the data in post request method? Yes, we can do it, but not recommended. Yes, we can do it, but not recommended. The reason HTTP methods are not specific to our company, those methods are universal methods. HTTP methods are universal methods. Now, if you tomorrow, your REST API will be accessed by other company project. Your REST API will be accessed by other company project. So when you write a post method, what that other company people will think about the post method? So can you tell to other company people, if you want to delete my request, please send a post request? Can you tell to those people like that? If you want to delete a record, please send a post request. They will laugh at your face. Array, why should I send a post request to delete the record? Is that the standard of the HTTP protocol? No. Post request means creating the record. Delete request means deleting the record. Why are you asking me to send the post request to delete a record? आपको दिमाग नहीं है क्या? That is what people will think. If you don't follow these standards, REST API is nothing but all about standards, because this project, whatever we are developing, other companies are going to access. So you need to follow set of principles. You need to follow set of rules. You need to follow set of standards. When your method is trying to insert a record, then use post method. Why to use put method for insertion? Universal meaning for the post is insertion. Universal meaning for the put is updating. When you are writing a put method, write the logic only for updating, not for deleting or not for inserting. When you are writing a delete method, write the logic to delete the record, not for creation, not for updation. So you need to follow the standards. But in the interview, they will ask you to confuse. Can I write the logic to update a record using post method? 100% you can do it, because whatever the logic you do, whenever a request comes to this method, whether you are updating or deleting, it doesn't matter. Whatever the code is available in the method, that code will be executed. That's it. But universal meanings of HTTP protocol you are not following. The universal meaning of HTTP protocol we are not following. The universal meaning of the protocols you are not following. Understand my point? All of you able to understand my point? Yeah. Can we write the logic to update the date, update a record? Can we write the logic to update a record in post request method? Can we write the logic to update a record in post request method? Yes, we can do it, but it is not recommended. We need to follow HTTP protocol standards while developing REST APIs. We need to follow HTTP protocol standards while developing REST API. While developing REST API. Samjha? We can do it, but not recommended. We need to follow HTTP protocol standards while developing REST API. Is this clear? Is this clear? Guys, are you comfortable with this? Yeah. Okay. Guys, tomorrow is a Sunday, na? Tomorrow is Sunday. So tomorrow we don't have a class. I am giving one assignment for you for tomorrow. Assignment. So I conducted one workshop on the Swagger, guys. So in the next session, I need to use the Swagger. So before coming to next session, tomorrow is Sunday, next session is on Monday. So before coming to Monday session, I want you people to go through this Swagger video. I want you people to go through Swagger video. Watch Swagger video and practice it. In the next session, this Swagger video, I explained Swagger for almost 3 hours. What is Swagger and why we need to go for Swagger and how to work with the Swagger. All the details I have explained here. I want you people to practice this Swagger before coming to Monday session. In the Monday session, I will use the Swagger. In the Monday session, I will use the Swagger. Swagger is a documentation tool. Swagger is used to generate the documentation for REST API. Now, currently, we developed a REST API and we are testing the REST API in the Postman. We can test it in the Postman because we are the developers of this REST API. We know what is input of the REST API, what is output of the REST API, what methods are available. But how others will know about our REST API? For that, we need to generate the documentation. Swagger is used to generate documentation for REST APIs. Swagger is used to generate the documentation for REST API. Swagger UI is also available. Swagger UI is used to test REST API with the user interface. So currently we are testing the REST API. Currently we are testing the REST API using Postman. We can test the REST API from the Swagger UI also. Swagger UI will provide user interface for us. Swagger is used to generate the documentation for the REST API. Swagger UI is used to test REST API with user interface. So this is the assignment for you. Saturday and Sunday is available. I want you people to go through this Swagger video and practice the Swagger before coming to Monday session. Can you guys do it? Guys, I'm telling you to watch 3 hours video is there. In the Monday session, I'm not going to spend 3 hours for the Swagger. In the Monday session, I will finish the Swagger within 30 minutes. I will give just overview of the Swagger and I will do one example by using Swagger. So the Swagger, if you want to understand the Swagger completely, then I want you to go through this video, guys. How to work with the Swagger, how to write the Swagger annotations, everything in detail I have explained. Introduction, I have given a lot of introduction I have given for the Swagger. 3 hours I have spent to explain you the Swagger. So I want you to go through this Swagger before coming to Monday session. Monday, I will do one more example on the Swagger in the live session. Then after that, we will go for CRUD operations in the REST API with the database integrations and layered architecture we are going to develop. ठीक है ना? Yeah. Tomorrow I'm not taking the session. The reason, you have the assignment to complete. Tomorrow I'm not taking the session because you have assignment to complete. Okay. And today we have Agile workshop, guys. What is Agile methodology in the company and all? I'm going to discuss in the today's session. So you can attend that class at 9:30. Agile workshop is available today. So it's a free workshop. Zoom link available in the website, or else in the Telegram also it is available. So today at 9:30 a.m. Agile methodology workshop is available. If you are interested, you can attend for that. Okay. Clear? Will you complete the assignment? Or you will say that, sir, we paid the money for live classes. Why are you giving the videos? Anybody having that doubt? Why are you giving the videos? We have paid the money for live sessions now. Guys, discussing everything in the live will take lot of time. Discussing everything in the live will take lot of time because Java is vast. Java is vast. Discussing everything in the live, that duration will increase. Duration will increase. Same concept I have explained same concept. If I explain now also same concept, it will take 3 hours. 3 hours means 3 days it is going to take for us. Daily 1 hour class. That is the reason I'm giving this video. Some topics videos I will give so that you can watch it multiple times. Okay. Today, please go through this Swagger video today or tomorrow and practice it before coming to Monday. Monday, I will do one more example on the Swagger. Once the Swagger is completed, then I will explain DB integration with the layered architecture. Once it is done, then I will show you how to deploy these REST APIs in the cloud. Then once the API development deployment completed in the cloud, then we will go for client development. Guys, another 1 week it may take to work on REST APIs. Another 1 week to 10 days it will take. After this REST API is completed, then we will go with the microservices part. Fine. Thank you, guys. With this, I'm stopping for today. Happy weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye bye. Tata.